Well, all is right in my little corner of the world. I'm really glad that Cynthia McKinney made it in one piece. It's amazing what happens when people try to help or do humanitarian type things in this climate of fear and war. Well, here's her talking about her experiences.
The intention was, of course, to deliver 3 tons of medical supplies to Gaza and also take some of the passengers, who included Cynthia McKinney, a former U.S. Congresswoman, a Cypriot MP, and a number of surgeons and doctors, to deliver all those to Gaza to help with the brewing humanitarian crisis there.
Our boat was rammed 3 times, twice in the front and 1 on the side. But let me also state for the record that what we experienced earlier today pales in comparison to what the people of Gaza are experiencing right now as we do this interview.
Right, but
our mission was a peaceful mission to deliver medical supplies, and our mission was thwarted by the Israelis, the aggressiveness of the Israeli military. Now, one of the things that I would like to ask President-elect Obama is to say something, please, about the humanitarian crisis that is being experienced right now by the people of Gaza. I would like to ask my former colleagues in the United States Congress to stop sending weapons of mass destruction around the world, as we are about to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. Let us remember what he said. He said that the United States was the greatest purveyor of violence on the planet. And guess what? We experienced a little bit of that violence because the weapons that are being used by Israel are weapons that have been supplied by the United States government.
Congresswoman McKinney, if I could you describe what happened? Was there any warning given by the Israeli patrol boats? We're hearing some reports out of Israel that they were trying to stop you from coming into Israeli waters, and that the captain of the Dignity, tried to maneuver around the boat, and that's when the collision occurred.
As you can see, I'm standing beside a pleasure boat. What the Israelis are saying is outright disinformation. But I recall that there was another boat that was attacked by Israelis, and it was the USS Liberty. And people would like to forget about the USS Liberty, but I haven't forgotten about it, and the people who were on that ship have not forgotten about what happened to them. And what happened to us last night was a direct threat to our mission, but not our cause.
One scenario mentioned was the destruction of a U.S. naval vessel that was to be blamed on a foreign power as a pretext for war with any enemy they picked. President Lyndon Baines Johnson went operational with Northwoods on June 8, 1967, during the Six-Day War. During the Six-Day War between Israel and the Arab nations, the USS Liberty was sent by Johnson to collect electronic intelligence in the eastern Mediterranean. The clearly marked U.S. intelligence ship was 14 miles off the coast of Israel in international waters.
A short time after the air attack had been completed, the 3 torpedo boats approached us from our starboard quarter at high speed and in an apparent torpedo launch attitude.
Israeli surveillance aircraft flew low over the ship and clearly identified it as an American vessel. At 2 p.m. that afternoon, the USS Liberty was attacked by 3 Mirage 3 fighter bombers. From the onset of the attack, the fighter bombers were jamming U.S. signals. Not only were they jamming U.S. signals specifically, they were also unmarked, the only unmarked aircraft in Israel's arsenal. The fighter bombers strafed the ships with their cannons, dropped conventional munitions and napalm on the ship, repeatedly from stem to stern. After the Mirages had done their work, the ship was hit by medium bomber Dassault missiles carrying napalm and other munitions like white phosphorus. The USS Liberty was then attacked by 3 Israeli torpedo boats bearing Israeli flags. The torpedo gunboats opened fire with high-caliber machine guns and launched torpedoes. A single torpedo struck the ship, blowing a hole in both sides, entering the ship and leaving a 30-foot exit hole when it exploded. Then the torpedo boats began strafing life rafts in the water, an international war term. While all of this was happening, the oversized American flag flew clearly above the ship. The attack on the Liberty went on for hour after hour after hour. During the entire attack, the USS Liberty continually called the Sixth Fleet that was nearby, begging for air support. or rescued. 2 aircraft carriers in the Med responded by launching fighter aircraft. Unbelievably, they were recalled by the White House. Rear Admiral Geist, then commanding the carriers in the 6th Fleet, called Washington personally to confirm the recall order. Secretary of Defense McNamara came on the line, and then President Johnson himself told Geist, "I want that goddamn ship going to the bottom. No help. Recall the wings." Imagine being Admiral Geist begging the president to allow you to defend an American ship that's under attack and being told by him that he wants the ship going to the bottom. Despite the fact that the U.S. carriers withdrew their help, a Russian spy ship appeared and witnessed part of the attack. After 3 hours into the attack, the Israelis withdrew because there were witnesses, allowing the damaged USS Liberty to limp to safety. 40 years after the attack on the USS Liberty, we know exactly what happened. I've interviewed former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Thomas Moorer. I've interviewed the admirals that were on the line who heard what President Johnson said. I've even talked to the head JAG officer of the Navy, who was ordered to falsify the reports and cover up what had really happened. One of the Israeli pilots has gone public as well, saying that 3 times he refused over his radio to headquarters to attack the ship, saying clearly that it was an American ship in international waters and an ally. He was ordered under threat of court-martial to engage the ship. In a nutshell, this is what happened. President Johnson had personal control over the ship, parked it in the Mediterranean, made a backroom deal with Israel to attack it with an order to kill all aboard. Then the attack on the ship was to be blamed on Egypt. The U.S. would enter the war and take over the entire Middle East in the aftermath of the attack on the most highly decorated ship in U.S. history. The captain and his entire crew were told they would spend life in prison or be killed if they told anyone what happened. Captain William L. McGonigal was given the Congressional Medal of Honor in secret and told not to tell anyone that he had won the award.
The Israelis have put out that it was an accident, that the Dignity was trying to outmaneuver those Israeli patrol boats. That just did not happen on the boat where I was. And sorry to say it in such emphatic terms, but this is what I saw. That in the hours of night, there were very heavy seas. The Dignity was moving at about 12 knots an hour. And for about half an hour, Israeli patrol boats, I believe there were 2, there could have been more, were shadowing the Dignity. They moved behind, they moved to the sides, they moved across the front. These Israeli patrol boats are powerful, they're fast, they're sophisticated, and they are highly maneuverable. Now, after about half an hour, one of those Israeli patrol boats had a spotlight beam focused on the Dignity. The Dignity had all its lights on. And then the other Israeli patrol boat with no lights on at all came and rammed the front section of the boat. That caused the windows around the wheelhouse to shatter. It also caused part of the roof to peel back, and the hull was also punctured. The captain says he received no prior warning from the Israelis in the whole half hour that they were shadowing the boat. Only afterwards did the patrol boat get in touch and say that they did this action, they carried out this incident, the ramming, because they believed the Dignity was engaged in terrorist activities. At that point, the captain, fearful that the boat was going to take on water, that the damage was even more severe, he sent out a Mayday distress signal. And then other members of the crew came back into the passenger area, issued us with life jackets, and said, get ready to take to the life rafts. They were within seconds of launching the life rafts into the Mediterranean, abandoning ship, because they feared that the damage to the hull was too great and that the ship would simply go down. In fact, after a few moments, the crew worked feverishly and managed to get the bilge pumps working, and that managed to get the water out of the hull and enabled us to continue going. But the captain says at no stage did he try and outmaneuver Israeli patrol boats. This vessel moves at 12 knots. Those Israeli patrol boats move much faster.